Calculus biliary pain. Intense epigastric or right upper quadrant pain that starts suddenly, rises in intensity over 15-minute period, and continues as steady plateau for next 30 minutes or more and slowly subsides. The radiation of pain to the right shoulder is specific for a calculus or any biliary pain, precipitated by the ingestion of a meal accompanied by restlessness, nausea, or vomiting. Acalculous biliary pain is a spectrum of overlapping disorders, including chronic acalculous cholecystitis, acalculous biliary disease, GP dysmotility, biliary dyskinesia. There is a female preponderance of 80%, with young middle-aged ambulatory patient being the most predominant group. Risk factors include obesity and multiparity. Pathophysiology includes sluggish or incomplete GB contraction, the dilute bile with respect to bile acid and phospholipids, microscopic cholelithiasis, cholesterolosis, chronic calculus cholecystitis, functional disorder, that is a lack of coordination between GB contraction and sphincterophobia relaxation or visceral hypersensitivity sensitivity is being attributed as pathophysiology of a calculus biliary pain. Diagnosis is a method of exclusion. The ultrasound is done to rule out calculi. It also helps to look for endomyomatosis, cholesterol polyps. There is a test called Melsil iron test, that is a bile aspirated during the upper GI endoscopy after stimulation with IV cholecystokinin. This is kept at room temperature, examined under microscopy for characteristic birefringent notched rhomboid cholesterol crystals or calcium bilirubinate granules. Patients with biliary pain, in those one-third has found to have crystals in bile, and at surgery, most have documented microlithiasis. The rest, two-third, will have a benign course of those without any crystals in bile. This another modality of diagnosis is with stimulated cholecystography, that is calculation of GB ejection fraction using cholecystography. IV administered radio labeled 99 technetium diisopropyl immunodiazolic acid. This concentrates in the GB, and a gamma camera measures the activity before and after IV cholecystokinin stimulation over 30 minutes. The normal GB ejection fraction is 35 to 75%, and half of the patients with biliary pain have an ejection fraction less than 35%. Post cholecystectomy, in those have shown 90% have chronic cholecystitis, 80% had CD narrowing, and 30% had cholesterolosis. The long-term symptomatic relief is seen in 65 to 80% of those patients, and 50% managed without surgery also had symptom relief. Normal GB ejection fraction also has been documented in those patients with acalculous biliary pain, and cholecystectomy is not recommended even though almost same proportion had symptom relief. Low GB ejection fraction can also be seen in asymptomatic IBS patients and those patients who are on drugs like CCP, OCP, and hydrogen receptor antagonist. Next is acalculous cholecystitis, that is an acute inflammation of GB in the absence of stones. It is also called necrotizing cholecystitis, accounts for 5 to 10% of the cholecystectomies. 50% have post-op or are post-op or hospitalized patients for trauma or burns. This can also occur in children, older adults with comorbids, bone marrow transplant patients on chemotherapy, AIDS patient, systemic vasculitis like SLE, PAN, HSP, Chuck-Strauss. There are also identifiable infectious sources or causes for acalculous cholecystitis. The commonly attributed infections like Staph aureus, Salmonella, CMV in immunocompromised, and Epstein-Barr virus in children. Coming to the pathogenesis, the immobile fasting patient with splanchnic vasoconstriction that results in ischemic chemical injury to the GB epithelium is attributed as one of the pathogenic mechanisms. Disturbed by microcirculation and ischemia, inappropriate activation of factor 12 and increased prostaglandin in the GB wall resulting in tissue injury, obesity which results in increased GB wall fat that results in decreased GB emptying, stagnation of bile, and ultimately results in chemical injury is also as one of the proposed pathogenic mechanisms. Clinically, right upper quadrant pain may be absent initially in the 75% of the cases. Unexplained fever, leukocytosis, increased amylase may be the presenting complaints. Mortality is 10 to 50% due to the increased complications like perforation, gangrene, and cholangitis. Now, coming to the diagnosis, ultrasound may show a thickened GB wall that is more than 4 millimeter in the absence of ascites or decreased albumin that is less than 3.2 gram per deciliter. Sonographic Murphy sign, pericholecystic fluid. Sensitivity of ultrasound is 67 to 92% and specificity is more than 90%. There is an ultrasound scoring system. A score of more than 6 is predictive of acalculous cholecystitis. 2 points are given for distension of GB and thickening of GB wall. 1 point for striated thickening, that is alternating hypo and hyperechoic pattern in the ultrasound imaging / pericholecystic fluid. CT also shows a thickened GB wall of more than 4 mm in the absence of ascites or hypoalbuminemia, pericholecystic fluid, subserosal edema, intramural gas or sloughed mucosa. Sensitivity and specificity of CT is more than 95%. Hepatobiliary scintigraphy. The non-visualization of GB with normal excretion of the radionuclide into bile duct and duodenum is considered as a positive test for acute cholecystitis, which is because of calculi. The sensitivity of the test is more than 90% but lacks specificity. But this test can be falsely positive in critically ill patients because of the viscous bile, GB or cystic wall edema. So, hepatobiliary scintigraphy can also be positive in patients with acalculous cholecystitis. So, what being proposed is a morphine augmentation that reduces the false positives. That is because of the increased resistance to flow through the sphincter of Oddi that is caused by the morphine causes a forced filling of the GB. That otherwise that results in a non-visualization with morphine augmentation. This results in the visualization of the GB in case of when there is no mechanical obstruction of the duct. Management. Patient requires an antibiotic coverage with either gram-negative enteric and anaerobe coverage. Surgical cholecystectomy, percutaneous cholecystectomy, transpapillary endoscopic cholecystectomy are modes of treatment. Percutaneous cholecystectomy is considered in patients who are surgically not fit. 85 to 90% of the patients get symptomatic and have control of the symptoms with IV along with the IV antibiotic, and the complications are less than 10%. The transpapillary endoscopic cholecystectomy is another modality of management. This is considered in patients who are also poor candidates for a surgical or percutaneous approach, either due to a massive ascites or coagulopathy. The cystic duct is selectively cannulated with oblique angle guide wire. Nasobiliary catheter is passed. GB is lavaged with 1% N-acetylcysteine in saline to dissolve mucus and sludge, and catheter is allowed to drain and remove when patient recovers. Next is cholesterolosis. This is an acquired histological abnormality of GB epithelium characterized by excessive accumulation of cholesterol esters and triglycerides within the epithelial macrophages. This is an incidental pathological finding after surgical resection. 5 to 40% in an autopsy specimen, more common in females more than 60 years. Obesity is one of the risk factors. There are 4 patterns of cholesterolosis. Diffuse pattern that is seen in 80% of the cases. This pattern is seen throughout the GB with in the epithelial lining. Cholesterol polyp is seen in 10% of the cases, is confined to areas and form excrescence into the lumen. Combined, that is diffused plus polyp type, is seen in 10% and focal in the rest. Gross appearance, the diagnosis is made 20% of the cases on gross appearance. When GB is opened post cholecystectomy, it appears pale yellow linear streaks running longitudinally. It is also called the strawberry gallbladder. GB stones are present in 50% of the cases. Microscopic appearance, the hyperplasia of the mucosa, that is more than 50% of the cases, it is a villous type, and abundance of macrophages with elongated villi, and each macrophage stuffed with lipid droplets like foam cell at the tip in mild cases and along the entire villi in severe cases. Pathogenesis is absorption of cholesterol from the bile, but it is not associated with increased serum triglyceride levels. Diagnosis: rarely detectable ultrasonographically. Large polypoidal pattern may be picked up, but most are 2 to 10 millimeters, usually missed in ultrasonography. EUS a better modality, characteristic aggregation of hypoechoic spots. Oral cholecystography, polyp appear as small round radiolucencies in the lumen. Treatment: cholecystectomy is indicated in patients who are symptomatic, that is consistent with biliary pain and pancreatitis, who are diagnosed with polypoid cholesterolosis. No medical therapy for cholesterolosis exists. Adenomatosis. This is an acute hypoplastic lesion characterized by excessive proliferation of surface epithelium with invagination into the thickened muscularis or even more deeply. Benign. Multiple terminologies have been there, which are few of them are diverticulosis, cholecystitis glandularis proliferans, Rokitansky-Ashkoff sinuses. 1% of the cholecystectomy specimens will have this feature, and there is a female preponderance with 3:1 ratio. Pathology: as gallbladder ages, the valleys of the epithelial layer deepen and penetrate into the muscularis layer, which are known as the Rokitansky Ashkoff sinuses, and these sinuses that are deep and branching with hypertrophy of the muscularis layer is known as the adenomatosis. The rupture of this Rokitansky-Ashkoff sinuses causes xanthogranulomatous cholecystitis. There are mainly three main types: generalized or diffuse, segmental, that is limited to the annular segment or a Dumble gallbladder is what is known as, and the fundic type. The GB wall thickening may be up to 10 mm and the muscle layer may be 3 to 5 times the thickness of a normal. Microscopic appearance is hyperplasia of the muscle layer, intestinal metaplasia of the epithelial layer, and mild chronic inflammation. Pathogenesis: increased intraluminal pressure from mechanical obstruction, calculus, that is seen in 60% of the cases, or chronic inflammation or association with other anomalous pancreaticobiliary ductal union, seen in 1/3 to 1/2 of the patients, rarely present with biliary pain, and 6.4% of the GB cancer had segmental form of adenomyomatosis, particularly where the thickening is more than 10 mm, and it requires a further evaluation. Diagnosis: oral cholecystogram produce characteristic radiopaque dots that parallel the margin of the GB lumen or as filling defects or circumferential narrowing. Ultrasonography: diffuse or segmental thickening of the GB wall in association with intramural diverticula. Echogenic or acoustic shadowing may be noted if the sinuses are filled with sludge or calculi. Diagnostic accuracy of when compared with ultrasonography, helical CT, and MRI is 66, 75, and 93%. Treatment: asymptomatic, doesn't require any intervention. Biliary pain and radiographic evidence of calculi with adenomyomatosis require cholecystectomy. Pain without calculi, the management options are very uncertain, and still no conclusive evidence to show that cholecystectomy will benefit. Gallbladder polyps. These are mucosal projections into the GB lumen. Majority are result of the lipid deposits or inflammation. It's an incidental finding seen in 1 to 4% radiologically. There are various types known as the cholesterol polyp, in which the number of polyps may be multiple and the size of the polyp may be 2 to 10 mm. That constitutes 60% of the polyps. 25% of the polyps are adenomyoma polyps that are usually solitary, 10 to 20 mm in size. The 10% are inflammatory polyps, 5 to 10 mm in size. Of those, 50% are solitary and the rest will have 2 to 5 polyps. 4% are constituted by the adenoma polyp. They are also solitary in 2/3 of the cases and can have 2 to 5 polyps in the rest. They have a size of 5 to 20 mm. Other miscellaneous neoplasms that constitute only less than 1% that are usually solitary and 5 to 20 mm in size, that they are fibromas, leiomyomas, lipomas, neurofibromatosis, polyps, and carcinoids. Few words on the inflammatory polyps. Consists of the granulation tissue and fibrous tissue with the lymphocytes and plasma cells that infiltrate into the lamina propria. Adenoma, they constitute 0.15% of the resected GBs. Pedunculated, solitary, coexist with stones in 50%. These are pre-malignant. Papillary and neopapillary types are there. Progression usually slower than the colonic polyps. More than 12 mm have a malignant potential, and less than 10 mm requires a ultrasound monitoring. 10 to 18 mm, the management of choice is a lap cholecystectomy, and more than 10 mm open with more than 18 mm open with extended resection may be required. Diagnosis is incidental finding. It's rarely as biliary pain, acute calculus cholecystitis, or present as hemophilia. The ultrasound accuracy is 80%. Histological types of GB polyps cannot be distinguished either clinically or radiologically. EUS is a more sensitive and specific modality for diagnosing GB polyp with accuracy of more than 90% in differentiating the various polyp types. Polyp size of more than 10 mm and age of more than 60 years is the strongest predictor of neoplastic disease. Other factors include concurrent stones and symptomatic solitary polyp. Treatment: biliary pain with ultrasound evidence of both polyps and stones requires a cholecystectomy. More than 10 mm polyps also requires a cholecystectomy. If not surgical candidates, they may be monitored on 6 monthly basis. More than 80 mm polyp require open cholecystectomy with extended resection. If the polyps are 6 to 9 mm, a 3 to 6 monthly monitoring initially, followed by 6 to 12 monthly monitoring later. And if the polyps are less than 6 mm, no surveillance is required. Even if less than 10 mm, if associated with PSC, also requires a cholecystectomy. Thank you.